What really happened to the stars of Storage Wars? The ones we laughed with, rooted for, and watched strike gold, or sometimes walk away with nothing but dust. For years, these treasure hunters kept us glued to the screen, bidding on abandoned lockers and chasing the thrill of discovery. But over time, some of the most familiar faces quietly faded away. Fans began to wonder, did tragedy strike? Were there fallouts behind the scenes? Or did they simply choose a quieter life away from the cameras? The truth, as it turns out, isn't as grim as rumors might have you believe, but it is just as surprising. The stars of Storage Wars didn't just vanish. They each took their own path, shaped by health battles, personal choices, and the simple desire to live life on their own terms. For some, fame was never the real prize. For others, the show became a stepping stone to different ventures, and in a few heartbreaking cases, life threw them challenges far greater than any dusty locker could hold. Yet through it all, their personalities, quirks, and unforgettable moments continue to echo in the memories of fans. So let's step back inside the world of Storage Wars. Let's revisit the cast members who made us laugh, made us cringe, and made us cheer. And most importantly, let's uncover what really happened to them after the spotlight dimmed. Barry Weiss wasn't just another bidder on Storage Wars. He was the show's heartbeat, the eccentric uncle everyone wished they had. From the very first time he rolled up in one of his vintage cars, wearing leather gloves and that ever-present grin, Barry set himself apart. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't calculating every dollar like the others. Instead, he brought something rare to reality TV, pure joy. Barry didn't look at lockers as just boxes of junk. To him, they were treasure chests filled with stories waiting to be told. When other bidders argued over profits, Barry was busy imagining the life behind an old jukebox or a forgotten antique. His perspective reminded fans of the thrill of discovery, the reason people fell in love with the show in the first place. Barry's charm wasn't in winning big, it was in enjoying the journey. He had already made his fortune in the produce business long before cameras ever followed him. He didn't need the money. He was there for the fun, the adventure, and the stories hiding in every dusty corner. Barry's approach to Storage Wars was refreshingly different. While other cast members fought tooth and nail over lockers that promised a guaranteed profit, Barry often chose the odd, overlooked ones. He'd bid on a unit that seemed worthless to others just because something about it sparked his curiosity. Fans loved that. When he discovered vintage collectibles, his eyes lit up like a child unwrapping presents on Christmas morning. An old jukebox wasn't just resale value to him. It was a symbol of music, memories, and nights long past. A box of forgotten books became an impromptu lecture on obscure authors. Even a dusty chair could spark a discussion about craftsmanship from decades ago. Barry wasn't performing for the cameras. This was who he genuinely was. He loved history. He loved stories, and he respected the objects he found, and that authenticity made him magnetic. His humor, quick wit, and fearless curiosity transformed even the most mundane discoveries into moments of joy. Fans connected with Barry because he reminded them that not everything in life has to be about money. Sometimes the real treasure is the experience itself. After 4 seasons, Barry made a quiet exit from the show. There was no drama, no big fallout, just a simple decision to close that chapter of his life. Like finishing a favorite book and gently placing it back on the shelf, Barry walked away with grace. For years afterward, he kept a relatively low profile. He returned to his passions, classic cars, antiques, and adventures that didn't need a film crew. Occasionally, he'd appear in interviews or at events, still carrying that warm smile that made him so beloved. But in 2019, Barry's life changed in an instant. While riding his motorcycle in Los Angeles, he was involved in a devastating crash. The accident left him with severe injuries, broken bones, chest trauma, and internal damage. The man who had always seemed untouchable, who strolled into auctions with fearless confidence, was suddenly fighting for his life. Recovery wasn't easy. Barry underwent multiple surgeries and months of rehabilitation. The hands that once examined treasures now had to relearn simple movements. The legs that carried him through auctions struggled to walk again without pain. For a man defined by adventure, the forced stillness was a challenge, but Barry faced it like he faced everything else, with curiosity and patience. Healing became another journey, another treasure hunt for strength. Slowly, he returned to public life. Fans were thrilled to see him again, smiling, joking, and still carrying that sparkle in his eyes. Though he moved a bit slower, his spirit was unbroken. Barry Weiss may have stepped away from Storage Wars, but his legacy endures. He showed viewers that the greatest finds aren't always antiques or collectibles. Sometimes the real treasure is joy itself. If Barry was the heart of Storage Wars, Dave Hester was its lightning rod. Loud, brash, and unapologetic, he was the man viewers loved to hate. His signature yup could be heard echoing across every auction yard, sending competitors into frustration. Dave thrived on tension. He didn't just bid to win, he bid to dominate. If someone wanted a locker, he'd push the price higher just to rattle them. His competitive spirit made him one of the show's most memorable figures, and also one of its most divisive. Dave treated Storage Wars like a poker game. Every bid was a gamble, every locker a hand to play. He wanted to be the last man standing, the one who walked away with the best haul and the highest profits. But beyond the theatrics, Dave was a savvy businessman. He knew the resale market inside out. He could spot value in a pile of clutter and wasn't afraid to take risks. His drive, his confidence, and yes, his arrogance kept viewers talking long after the credits rolled. In 2018, Dave's life took a sharp and frightening turn. Late one night, he suffered a stroke. For a man who thrived on control and energy, waking up in a hospital bed, struggling to speak and move, was a humbling blow. The fierce competitor who once ruled the auction floor now faced weeks of rehab just to regain basic abilities. It was a turning point no one expected. Dave eventually recovered and returned to the auction world. But he wasn't quite the same. The fire was still there, but the endless battles seemed less important. He appeared calmer, more reflective, and more appreciative of life itself. Fans who once rolled their eyes at his antics found themselves respecting his resilience. Dave had fought his way back, not for profit, not for dominance, but for survival. And in doing so, he reminded everyone that sometimes the loudest voices carry the deepest struggles. Ivy Calvin entered Storage Wars like a storm. A former arena, football player and mixed martial artist, he brought intensity, confidence, and physical presence to every auction. Dubbed the King of Palmdale, Ivy had a knack for sniffing out valuable lockers and turning them into profit at his resale. Grandma's Attic, Ivy's style was disciplined. He ran his business like a tight ship, with every piece carefully placed. His competitive edge, booming laugh, and fearless bidding made him a fan favorite. Unlike others, Ivy balanced humor with sharp instincts, spotting hidden gems where others saw only junk. But over time, fans noticed Ivy less and less on the show. His appearances became rarer, his energy quieter. Away from the cameras, Ivy was focusing on his health and family. The man who once dominated the auction floor was turning his attention to life's bigger priorities. In later seasons, Ivy often appeared with his sons, transforming auctions into family outings instead of high-pressure battles. For him, the greatest treasure wasn't a locker filled with valuables. It was the chance to share the experience with loved ones. By stepping back without drama, Ivy Calvin proved that sometimes the most meaningful victories happen far away, from the spotlight. The stars of Storage Wars may have followed different paths, but their stories share a common thread: resilience. Barry Weiss turned recovery into an adventure. Dave Hester found humility after a stroke. Ivy Calvin chose family over fame. For fans, these journeys are reminders that behind every loud bid and every dramatic discovery were real people, living real lives, facing challenges bigger than any storage locker could hold. The show gave us unforgettable entertainment, but its true legacy lies in the personalities who filled our screens. They taught us that treasure isn't always about money, it's about joy, endurance, and the stories we carry with us. And though the auctions may have ended, the spirit of Storage Wars lives on, not in the storage units, but in the people who made the hunt unforgettable. If Barry Weiss was the cool uncle and Dave Hester the villain everyone loved to hate, then Daryl Sheets was the wild older cousin who lived for the thrill. Nicknamed the Gambler, Daryl brought high energy, big risks, and an even bigger personality to Storage Wars. Unlike some bidders who played it safe, Daryl thrived on danger. He'd bet on a locker others ignored, chase a hunch, and push his last dollar just for the excitement of winning. His laughter, his bold moves, and his willingness to gamble made him one of the show's most entertaining figures. Fans loved Daryl because he wasn't calculating every move like Dave or taking a back seat like Barry. He jumped headfirst into the chaos, letting instinct guide him, and sometimes it paid off in spectacular ways. Daryl's most memorable win came when he purchased a locker that looked unassuming, but turned out to contain a treasure trove of artwork worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That moment cemented his reputation as the gambler who sometimes struck pure gold. But his style wasn't just about luck. Daryl had decades of experience in the business. He could spot quality, understand resale value, and trust his gut in ways that set him apart. His bold approach gave the show some of its most jaw-dropping moments. Still, with big risks came big losses. Not every gamble paid off, and fans saw both sides of Daryl's strategy, the triumphs and the disappointments. But through it all, his passion never faded. After years on the show, Daryl faced personal and health challenges that pulled him away from the spotlight. In 2019, he revealed that he had suffered a serious heart attack. The news shocked fans who had grown accustomed to his larger-than-life energy. Suddenly, the man who once thrived on adrenaline was fighting for his health. Following surgery and a long recovery, Daryl decided to slow down. While he still maintained his love for storage hunting, he became more selective in his appearances. Family, health, and peace of mind began to take priority over constant risk-taking. Fans who once watched him gamble with lockers now admired him for something far greater, his courage to survive and his choice to embrace a quieter life. Though he no longer dominates the screen, Daryl Sheets remains a symbol of the highs and lows of the storage world. If Daryl was the gambler and Barry the adventurer, Brandy and Jared were the couple next door. Known as the Young Guns, they brought a fresh dynamic to Storage Wars. Together, they blended Brandy's sharp business sense with Jared's impulsive instincts, creating a partnership that kept fans entertained. Their banter, their disagreements, and their occasional triumphs made them relatable. Unlike other bidders with decades of experience, Brandy and Jared felt like underdogs trying to build something from scratch. Fans rooted for them not just because of their finds, but because of their chemistry. Brandy often served as the voice of reason, calculating risks and focusing on what would actually sell. Jared, on the other hand, had a wilder streak. He loved to chase hunches, even if it meant overspending on a locker. Their push-and-pull dynamic was both frustrating and endearing. Beyond the auctions, the couple opened a thrift store called Now and Then Second-Hand Store. Their journey to make the business work became part of their storyline, adding another layer of relatability. Fans saw not just the bids, but the struggles of balancing work, family, and ambition. But behind the smiles and banter, cracks began to show. By 2018, rumors spread that Brandy and Jared's relationship was falling apart. In 2020, Brandy confirmed that the two had split. For fans, It was a bittersweet moment, the end of a partnership that had defined much of the show's art. After the breakup, both Brandy and Jared charted their own paths. Brandy focused on raising her children and building her independence. She embraced social media, where fans still follow her life and adventures. Jared, meanwhile, kept a lower profile but continued working in the resale business, though no longer. A couple, their time on Storage Wars left a lasting mark. They showed viewers that treasure hunting wasn't just about profits. It was about teamwork, resilience, and the messy, beautiful reality of trying to make it together. Renee and Casey Nizota, known as the husband and wife team with sharp eyes and strong accents, added a unique energy to Storage Wars. Renee, with his booming voice and encyclopedic knowledge of collectibles, quickly earned a reputation as one of the sharpest bidders in the game. Casey, always by his side, brought humor and balance to their dynamic. The Nijotas ran Bargain Hunter's thrift store, and their keen eye for value meant they rarely lost big. Renee's expertise in antiques and collectibles often gave him an advantage, spotting items others overlooked. Fans admired their teamwork, their lighthearted banter, and their commitment to running a successful family business. Unlike some cast members, Renee and Casey didn't dramatically fade away. They continued to thrive both on and off the show. However, over time, their screen presence diminished as they focused more on their thriving store and family life. Today, Renee and Casey remain active in the resale world, sharing their finds with fans online and running their store. They may not dominate TV screens anymore, but they're proof that for some, the treasure hunt never ends. Looking back, the stars of Storage Wars gave fans far more than dusty lockers and forgotten boxes. They gave us personalities, stories, and journeys that reflected life itself, its risks, its rewards, and its unpredictability. Barry Weiss showed us the joy of curiosity. Dave Hester revealed the grit behind the bravado. Ivy Calvin proved the value of family. Daryl Sheets reminded us of the highs and lows of gambling on instinct. Brandy and Jared demonstrated the challenges of partnership, while Renee and Casey exemplified the power of teamwork. Together, they turned abandoned storage units into stages where human drama unfolded. And even though many have stepped away from the cameras, their legacies endure. Because in the end, Storage Wars wasn't really about the lockers. It was about the people, their quirks, their struggles, their triumphs. And that's why, years later, we still find ourselves asking, what really happened to the stars of Storage Wars? Mary Padian, the sharp-eyed, quick-witted buyer, brought a fresh energy to Storage Wars. Known for her bold personality and fearless bidding, Mary quickly became a fan favorite. Unlike some of the show's older cast members, Mary approached auctions with a mix of street smarts and business acumen. She wasn't just another competitor, she was a strategist. With her keen eye for hidden value, Mary often snatched up lockers that others overlooked. Her charm and humor added a new dimension to the show, creating moments that were both entertaining and unpredictable. Mary's style combined intuition with experience. She could spot a hidden gem buried beneath layers of dust and quickly calculate its resale potential. But more than that, Mary had a personality that kept viewers engaged. Her witty comebacks, playful banter with other buyers, and occasional showdowns added a dynamic energy that had been missing before her arrival. She also demonstrated that success in storage auctions wasn't just about knowledge, it was about confidence. Mary's ability to assert herself in competitive situations earned respect from both viewers and fellow bidders. Her strategy often involved going against the crowd, trusting her instincts, and knowing when to walk away from a locker. That didn't feel right. Over time, Mary shifted focus toward her own business ventures. She continued appearing on Storage Wars, but she began prioritizing her personal life, family, and expanding her resale business. While still competitive, she balanced the thrill of auctions with long-term goals. Today, Mary Padian continues to run a successful resale operation, and occasionally returns to TV appearances. Fans appreciate her honesty, humor, and strategic mind, making her one of the most respected and enduring figures from Storage Wars. Kenny Crossley, known for his laid-back attitude and Southern charm, was another memorable buyer on Storage Wars. He wasn't the flashiest, but his calm, methodical approach often surprised viewers. Kenny brought a sense of humor and humility to auctions, contrasting sharply with the more aggressive cast members. Kenny's specialty was patience. He could wait out competitors, carefully calculating his moves while others rushed to bid. His knowledge of collectibles and ability to read situations gave him an edge. Fans appreciated that Kenny showed another side of the auction world, one where strategy and observation mattered as much as speed and risk. Eventually, Kenny decided to focus on his personal business ventures outside of the cameras. While he occasionally returned for special episodes, he largely stepped back from the reality TV spotlight, choosing a quieter life. Kenny Crossley continues to work in the resale and collectibles industry, often sharing insights with fans online. Though he no longer appears regularly on Storage Wars, his reputation as a clever, thoughtful buyer endures. No discussion of Storage Wars would be complete without Dan and Laura Dotson, the iconic auctioneers. While they weren't bidders, their presence defined the auctions themselves. Dan's fast-paced, unmistakable chant and Laura's precise auctioneering skills brought excitement and authenticity to every episode. Dan and Laura were more than just facilitators. They were the heartbeat of the show. Their energy, knowledge, and command over the auction floor created the tension and drama that viewers loved. Dan's humor and Laura's calm, professional demeanor balanced each other perfectly, ensuring every auction felt alive and unpredictable. Fans often tuned in just to hear Dan's enthusiastic calls or Laura's sharp corrections. Together, they made even the smallest locker feel like a high-stakes treasure hunt. Though the Dotsons never left the public eye completely, the nature of reality TV meant that the spotlight on them evolved. They continued to manage auctions outside of the show, occasionally participating in spin-offs or special events. Today, Dan and Laura Dotson continue their auctioneering career while maintaining a beloved legacy on Storage Wars. Their energy and dedication remind fans that behind every successful bidder is a team ensuring the excitement stays alive. Looking back at the full cast of Storage Wars, it's clear that the show was more than a simple reality competition. It was a story about personalities, resilience, and the unpredictability of life. From Barry Weiss's playful curiosity to Dave Hester's intense competitiveness, from Ivy Calvin's family focus to Daryl Sheet's gambling thrills, each person brought something unique. Mary Padian and Kenny Crossley introduced fresh perspectives, proving that strategy, humor, and patience could shine just as brightly as high-risk bidding. And Dan and Laura Dotson reminded everyone that the stage itself, through their energy and command, was just as important as the participants. Even as some stepped away, faced health challenges, or shifted priorities, the legacy of Storage Wars endures. The show taught fans that treasure isn't always monetary. Sometimes it's in joy, experience, resilience, and relationships. The lockers may be empty now, but the memories they created are priceless. These stars didn't just entertain, they reminded us of the thrill of discovery, the value of human connection, and the adventure that can be found in the most unexpected places.